And now it's time to make dinner. And for dinner tonight, I'm going to make sushi. Now, sushi is a sort of an art. I don't make it perfectly. I'm not an acclaimed sushi chef. I know that, but I can make the rice because the important thing about sushi is the rice and the way the rice comes out. If the rice comes out right, then you're in good shape. So it's really the seasoned rice and then the nori, the wrapper on the outside, the seaweed wrapper, and then whatever you want to put inside it. So you can make it vegetables, or you can make it fish, or you can make it something else if you like. But you can make some terrific dishes that are really good. So we're going to go ahead and make some sushi, and we'll add in some other things to make it really terrific. One of the keys to making great sushi is the rice you start off with. So you want to start with some good quality sushi rice. I like to just take about 3 cups of it or so, put it into my strainer and strain off all the starch that's on the outside. So I'll put them into my little strainer here and I'll start washing it off. I'll go ahead and just rinse it until the water runs clear. So I just continue to rinse and rinse. It takes a few minutes, but I think it's really important to get the great texture of sushi and get it just right. So I'll just move it around a little bit with my hand, swirl it a little, make sure that the starch is coming off the grains, and let it drain out. This little strainer is great for this purpose because it just lets it drain off. You could, of course, just put it in a bowl and continue to move it around in your hand and drain the water off every so often, but I like this method. So here you can see the granules are starting to get a little bit moist, and you can see that there's no real starchy water in my hand. That was one of the things early on. You can see at the top there's maybe a little bit of starchiness still in the water right at the top, but overall it looks like it's in pretty good shape. I'm very close to being where I want it to be, so just a little bit longer of just moving it around, and now we can see that as we drain it off, the water is running pretty clear, so I think we're in good shape. Been a couple of minutes, we've got it nice and clear. We're going to go ahead and use this and put it in my rice maker. Now, I like to use the rice maker for this. You don't have to use a rice maker. If you don't have a rice maker, you could use something else. You could always use a pot to make it, but you want to be careful. The rice maker makes the texture just right because it cooks it just to the right amount. So I'll go ahead and put the right amount of water in to match up with what I want. The rice maker is nice because it tells you exactly how much water to put in to go for sushi rice. Usually it's about a 1-to-1 ratio between the rice and the water, give or take. And that's about right when you're cooking it. So I'll go ahead and set my rice maker for sushi rice and go ahead and turn it on. About 45 minutes from now, I'll have really good rice. So through the magic of time lapse, we can skip ahead and see that it's 45 minutes later and the rice is now cooked. You can see it's got a little texture to it. It's kind of soft. It's a really nice rice that it comes out with. Now we need to add a couple more ingredients in here. We're going to add a little bit of sugar. I think sugar kind of helps bring out the flavor a little bit, and a little bit of seasoned rice vinegar. The seasoned rice vinegar is going to make the difference in making that rice that you have, the sushi rice. That's one of the things about sushi rice that makes it so nice is you get that sort of tanginess to it. It's unlike just white rice. So you add the seasoned rice vinegar, and it's really, really good. It just gives a little more flavor and comes together nicely. So this is the one I use. And then you want a little bit of salt in there as well. A little salt is just going to bring out the flavors. Now, I know it seems weird to put salt in something where you're going to be using soy sauce, but I think it's important to get the sushi rice just to the right flavor combination so it feels right on the tongue, because sushi rice has this seasoning to it that really makes it kind of special. Once those ingredients are in there, then I'm going to go ahead and start mixing it up. Now, in a traditional sense, you put this inside a wooden bowl and you mix it with the wooden bowl and you're fanning it so it's cooling at the same time. I don't have the time for that, so I just go ahead and leave it in my rice cooker and do it this way, and it works out pretty well. And if you've got a mess, you can always eat those little pieces of rice. They're pretty tasty. So once it's ready, I'll just go ahead and set it to the side. Now here are the ingredients I'm going to put in my sushi. I've got some shrimp, I've got some cucumber, some scallions. I'm going to do mushrooms, avocado, and believe it or not, I'm going to do some sweet potatoes. I know it's a little unusual, but it works pretty well. I'm also going to do some sushi that's got some salmon roe in it. So we'll get that ready. So here's my rice. I keep it under a cover with a little bit of a wet towel. It makes it stay a little nicer. So I just lay out one piece of my nori, that's my seaweed wrapper, and I put a little bit of rice right across it. So it's just enough to kind of make one layer, maybe covers about a third of maybe a little more of the wrapper. And I just kind of spread it out evenly, and then I'm going to start putting whatever ingredients I want on there. So if you want to go vegetarian, you could certainly put the sweet potatoes, the mushrooms, the onions, the avocado, the cucumbers, anything you like that to make it vegetarian. Now, I'm happy to have fish, so I'll put some crab sticks, I'll put some shrimp, I'll do some other things, but I make a couple of these for anyone who wants a vegetarian version of it in the house. So I'll just go ahead and put it together, just keep adding things until I'm comfortable and I've got something that's really nice. And I'll put a little avocado in there, and we're good. And that'll be the first roll I'll make. Like I said, sushi is really flexible. If you want raw fish, make sure you get sushi grade or sashimi grade fish to put in there. Sometimes I'll just get some tuna, sear it a little bit, and then just put seared tuna in there. That's really nice too. But anyway, I'll go ahead and I'll just put it together. Just takes a couple of minutes to kind of get everything in there that I like, and then I'll start rolling it. And what you want is a nice roll. You want to kind of roll it up a little bit. And then when you squeeze it just a little, it's going to push out to the end. So you'll get a nice size wrapper in here. Now, I'll go ahead and I'll use the bamboo mat just to help shape it and make it sized right. It's one of those little tricks that helps a little bit. You certainly don't have to use the bamboo mat. It's the amount of pressure you put on it that makes the difference. But I think the bamboo mat makes a difference because it really does make it kind of shapely and make it work right. So it looks like a sushi roll. So there you go. That is my first sushi roll. I can push a piece back in if I lost something. Is it perfect? No. But is it good? Heck yeah. And it's really not that hard to make. It's just a little bit time consuming. So you can see how it looks on the inside now that I've got everything wrapped in there. And that looks like sushi. And with the sushi rice, the way it is, I'll have something that's really nice. So I'm going to continue to make these. It's going to take a while to make all of them. I make a lot of rolls while I'm here. I've got a lot of rice to work with and a lot of raw ingredients that I'm going to put together as sushi. So I'll go ahead and make a lot of it. Now, as far as cutting it, you notice that I'm kind of sawing it a little bit with a sharp knife. It's, it just takes a little extra effort to cut it, and you want to make sure that your knife is nice and sharp and that you've got it a little bit wet sometimes. That'll help. Now my daughter's going to take over and make a roll. So she's going to follow the same process where she puts in the rice, just enough to make a nice layer there, kind of in the middle of the wrapper. And I'll help her out by putting some of the ingredients in there. I'll do some crab stick or some shrimp here, and I'll start getting it ready. And so we'll do a couple of shrimp across. I just boiled up some shrimp. These are some good size shrimp, and I'll just put them across here like this. And then she'll continue to put some other ingredients in, whatever she'd like in it. It doesn't really matter. Some avocado. And then she'll add some other ingredients, a couple more vegetables in here just to make it nice. She likes to spread the avocado around, and I think that's a terrific idea. And that's what's neat about this. You can do it a lot of different ways if you want to. So she'll add some cucumber and a little bit of scallion to make it kind of nice. It just gives it a little more flavor, a little something to work with. If you wanted to, you could put a little wasabi in here as well. And she'll roll it over to start to make her roll. Now, a little trick I found along the way is if you take a little bit of water in a measuring cup or a cup or something and you just kind of dunk your fingers in it and just rub it along the edge, right like this, you'll make a nice seal, and it'll make it much easier to roll. And then when you cut it, it won't come apart. So she'll go ahead and roll it and make up a nice little roll here. Same thing, it's all about pressure and making sure that it comes together, and she's got a roll. And now we can just start cutting these pieces up and making more. Now, the last thing I want to do is make up some of my ikura. That's the salmon roe. And the thing about that is you need to cut the nori just a little bit differently to make it a size. I can never get this size right. But you know what? It really doesn't matter. The important thing is I'm getting the ikura and I'm getting the sushi rice together, so I make a nice roll anyway. It's almost like a hand roll or something that's very homemade, but that's okay. I'm getting rice, I'm getting salmon roe, and I'm getting the nori together. So I just go ahead and I cut it, and then I start adding rice to it. Now for these, it's just a little bit of rice. It's the same kind of procedure where it's just maybe a third of the wrapper that you're going to put it on, but then you have to manually kind of wrap these up by hand. Now you can see I'm sticking to everything, but again, it's okay. It's not the end of the world or anything. It just things stick a little bit. And if you take a little more care and caution, you kind of get this together and you can make it work a little more efficiently. But it works, and that's the important thing. As I go ahead and I just start putting a little bit of rice on each of these, I can make them up into these little rolls, and then I'm going to put the salmon roe on top of it. So as I make these up, I'll just make, a dozen or so of them. Then I'll go ahead and I'll just start putting my salmon roe right on top. You can see I've already got some made there. And now I'm going to go ahead and make a few more, and I'll just move that one over to my tray. And I'll just make a few more here. You can see over to the right, I've made a fair number of pieces of sushi at this point, but now I'm just making up the final ones here where I make the ikura, and I'm just putting it in the sushi so that it kind of looks nice in there. Doesn't have to look perfect. I don't make it look perfect. I just want to make it look nice, and it tastes great, and that's what really matters to me. So I'll just go ahead and fill these up, use up all of my ikura, and I am ready to go. So when I'm done, I have a nice plate of sushi that looks like this that everyone can enjoy. I've made some edamame to go with it, and we're ready to eat. Now the question is, have I inspired you to try making sushi at home yourself?